What's your expert advice on the best way to look at measuring a content marketing program?
We use percentage of readers that are associated with accounts that the sales team is going to work.
Okay.
We run a hybrid content ABM program. I would say it's 30 content, 70 explicit outbound target accounts. But like everything that we do is, let's say we have an addressable market of 50,000 accounts. I'm just using a round number. Everything we do is focused on that cohort. And now of that 50,000, these are just round numbers. Say my sales team can work 5,000 of them at any given point. Well, now I'm going to hold myself accountable to see how I'm doing in engaging those 5,000 accounts. The ads we run are targeting those 5,000 accounts. The content that we publish is, we equip the BDRs with links to it for their outreach cadences, so that they're sharing that specific account with that specific content with those 5,000 accounts. So it is content driven, but it is content at an account level. So we basically look at what is the engagement with the right audience. I would love to get to the point that we just do away with forms entirely.
As an industry as a whole, as a best practice?
Well, I'm not responsible for the industry. I'm responsible for one company. For us, I think it's the right thing to do. But like, look, there's a lot of false idol worship. I think the false idol worship of the inbound ethos has gotten a lot of companies in trouble because it's the wrong market to be doing that. So I'm speaking for InsightSquared to the extent that listeners can identify with it and identify with some of the challenges and some of the nature of our business. Certainly take that with them. But if it's a company that's selling that little tile product that goes in your phone, and if you lose your phone, they can find it, this isn't going to apply, right? That's just too broad a market. So I look at how I would love to strip away forms to be able to effectively, to be able to get our content to have a wider reach, but narrow the aperture of the content we're writing so it's wonkier and more specific and will only appeal to the kind of buyer that we sell to, a sales operations person. So one of the first things I did when I came into InsightSquared is I said, like, no more how selling is like the Game of Thrones. Like, I don't care if Game of Thrones people, even in droves, come to our blog. They're never going to buy our software. So the way I try to control for not knowing who's reading it is to publish content that only the right person would ever read, because it's simply too wonky for anyone else.
Right. What are the top 2 or 3 measurements that the new CMO coming in with inbound should be looking at?
I would look at the growth trajectory of the content. Is it getting consumed more? I would look at, is the content ranking? And is it ranking for terms that we care about? I would track a cohort of 5 terms, 3 terms that we really want to rank for, and I would see which pieces are performing best there, because that's an annuity. Like, once you're sending the right signal to Google, not only do those pieces get rewarded, but the entire domain authority begins to get rewarded. And now all of your content has a better chance to rank. Mm-hmm. So I would look at how I'm ranking for really important terms and which pieces of content are ranking for those terms. I would look at the growth in lead gen. I certainly would look at the growth in form fills, but I would look at the right growth in form fills. Are we pulling in people that are a good potential buyer? I would look at lead to customer conversion rate. Which of our lead sources are yielding the most high quality opportunities and ultimately the most deals? And then I would reallocate dollars to those lead sources. Those would be the first passes. The other thing I would do is like we as marketers can get intimidated by all of this measurement stuff. That's one of the reasons why you get 10 to 20 calls a week on it, right? Is this scares us, it scares me, right? And we can forget that qualitative data is data too. And so I wouldn't be afraid to circulate anecdote. And there's a lot of power in anecdote. So I would ask my sales team, every time somebody references a piece of our content in a sales call, let me know.
Yeah.
Because I want to write more stuff like that, but I would circulate that story more broadly so that people start to understand that there is stuff that is measurable in a binary fashion, ones and zeros. but there is stuff that's measured best by anecdote. And those stories contain a lot of power.
Do you think that you're going to start to see a better definition of that KPI, where right now it's split between MQL and SQLs? Do you think those are going to come together where you think a sales and marketing coming closer together? Is a KPI going to be measured closer together as well?
Yeah, so all those blank QLs, those all have come from the Serious Decisions waterfall. I think the first one was like 2006, then they did another in 2012, and they've just done another. And it's more about, the new one is less QL-y, and it's more about what the nature of the intent is at each stage. Like, I'm not going to get it exactly right, but it's like there is identified intent, and then there is passive intent and active intent. The waterfall just came out. Anybody can find it, and you'll find out that, like, I got some of those terms right and some wrong, but it's less QL-y. And I actually think that's a healthy thing. Look, a really rotten thing happened, and that is marketing finally they got a metric to call their own, the MQL. And we got really goofy about it. We got really excited about it. And we started to pursue generating MQLs in big numbers. And then the executive team got excited about it because finally you could quantify marketing, and the CEO sees something good and he or she wants more of it.
Right.
And so how do you get more and more of it? Well, the most surefire way to get more and more of something is to reduce the definition, reduce the bar you have to cross to produce the thing it's to begin with. And so marketers started to increment downward, started to sort of decay the line that needed to be crossed for an MQL to be generated. And so in the end, they're like MLs. There's no Q, right? They're not marketing qualified leads. They're just marketing leads. And that, my friend, is the birth of the rift between sales and marketing, where sales says your leads suck and marketing says you don't work my leads hard enough. They're not working your leads hard enough because you're sending them lousy leads if you've gamed the system to keep your job.